in good shape? Okay, so welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you for our 14-day reset bonus education. And tonight we have the great honor of having Dr. Peter Minke with us, who's been with Young Living for 26 years and still going strong. And he has served in very unique capacities with our company. First off, he was a national and international speaker and trainer, of course. That's why he's on here tonight, because he's amazing, as well as the Blood Lab Supervisor when we had the Young Living Clinic in Utah. Now, of course, it's in Ecuador. He has also been a research coordinator and a great member multiple times on the Scientific Advisory Council. And as you may have read in his bio, he received his bachelor's and Ph.D. in molecular cell biology. So great to know we have all the smartness in the house tonight. Always appreciate all that from Peter. But that comes with such a personal knowledge as well. And that is because he's a 30-year cancer survivor. And that is why Peter is so passionate about sharing Young Living and his wellness journey, which you'll get to hear tonight. And because he does so many great things and so well, he's made an entire system that they'll talk about tonight. And his great wife, Amy, is with us. If you want to put your head in there, hi, Amy. You might have seen Amy give a great talk at convention with Ed Daly when she was talking about doing some, I can't remember what we call it. It's not neuroauricular, whatever we call it now.
Neuroapplication technique.
Yes, thank you. Both, we're very happy to have you both here tonight. Thank you, Peter, and take it away.
Okay, I think we have a PowerPoint to share, or what am I? You want me to intro myself first? Go ahead and share that. Because you can still see my face in the corner, right?
That's right.
Okay, I'm a little talking head in the corner. Okay, so we're gonna share tonight about what we call the red drink, which is you had just said about NingXia Red and how important NingXia Red is in the wellness toolkit, and I think most of us are familiar with NingXia Red from a standpoint of antioxidant drink, and it helps us feel better. But as you just said, it really makes a difference in how much you get in there, and it can radically change the situation in your body. And I'm going to talk a little bit about antioxidants and what that does. There's just so much to cover that I'm going to just touch a lot of surface things. And if there'll be time for questions at the end, and if there's time to come back again and dig deeper into a topic, I'm happy to do that. So the red drink is different than NingXia Red, and many of you already know what the red drink formula is. I'm going to talk about the red drink formula as it could be implemented or used with the reset, and there's some reasons for that I'll get into. But the red drink is something that Amy and I came up with, and she has equal credit for that. I know I get all the credit, but she and I put that together. And we're going to go through some of the benefits of that synergy between the components of the red drink. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Or do I have the power? Okay, I have the power. I can go to the next slide. Okay, so disclaimer, information is educational purposes only. Especially when we start getting into talking about science, some of the article titles will be leaning in the direction of non-compliant. That's not the intention. The intention here is to talk about the wellness and what kind of things we can expect when we implement wellness tools. We start to use tools in wellness. And so we're not talking about diseases. We're not talking about treatments. And of course, the FDA hasn't approved anything we've said. And I am a Young Living brand partner, and I'm proud to be that, and I'm proud to be able to talk about and share Young Living products. It does mean that we're limited in the way we communicate by having what's called commercial speech, and that is that we can't make those claims, or we can't even make hints of claims, and so we'll be very careful about that tonight. And partly, I think that's a good thing. A lot of people are maybe a little bit disappointed in the language. Some of the language seems a little bit weak. We have our oils, and they're very refreshing. I have this to say about that, and that is that if you have an oil in your pocket that can make you feel refreshed, and that if at the end of the day you're more refreshed than when you started, isn't that a good day? And if I have a better day today than I did yesterday because I used a little bottle of oil, then I don't really need to have my oil treat a disease. Do you follow what I'm saying? And we don't even really want that, because when you start focusing on disease, what do you get more of? You get more of the disease. We want to have a wellness focus. And hopefully everything I'm going to talk to you tonight here is with that wellness focus in mind. And so that you can see the power of that as being you begin with the end in mind. You've ever heard of that as a success principle? So the end of this is the idea of us doing anything here in this wellness industry of using these products, of sharing these products, is to help more wellness. So we want to let go of the whole concept of disease as something we're going to focus on. So we're not going to. And so this is what we call the wellness zone. And there's some basic principles in the wellness zone. I've been teaching wellness. My background, as she mentioned, I had bone cancer, or I had cancer. In this case, it was bone cancer when I was 20. Went through aggressive chemotherapy, surgery to remove the bone in my leg, and so there we go. They killed the cancer, but then killed me half the way at the same time. 5 years later, I was diagnosed with chemotherapy-induced lymphoma. At that point, when I was talking to the doctor about what do I do, the doctor said, "We'll do chemotherapy." And you can probably share my frustration with that. And so at that point, I was basically abandoned by the medical system at that point. There wasn't anything else they could offer me, and I wasn't going to continue doing chemo that caused the cancer and the second cancer in the first place. Which, by the way, as a molecular cell biologist, you don't have to have that, but you can see or tell that all cancer treatments cause cancer. Radiation causes cancer. Chemotherapy causes cancer. They know this. This is all that's, there are very, very few anti-cancer drugs or treatments that don't actually cause cancer. So it's a fine line they play. So the point is on that, I needed to focus on wellness. And here's some things I discovered about the wellness zone: that the body is good, that it's just fundamentally, that's our fundamental state. And recently we've been doing some things in reflex integration of primitive reflexes. And as I've started to do some of these simple exercises, I've actually felt happiness in a core part of me. And I was like, oh my gosh, happiness is our default state. And it's these other things, these imbalances that come along that throw us out of that feeling of happiness. And that's quite easy to do, because most of us don't feel very happy very often. But the body is good. And that's physical, that's emotional, that's spiritual, everything, all about the body is good. And when you give your body what it needs, it keeps you healthy. It moves you in the right direction. You don't have to remind it to use oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide. You don't have to tell it to do that. It does it automatically. And that the current state of health is greatly affected by your choices. And this was the empowerment. This is where it really hit me that what I was doing was affecting my health. And so many people are like, well, it was cancer, it's genetic, there's nothing I can do about it. No, there's a lot that I can do to help myself in the decisions I make every single day, what products I use, and what products I don't use, right? And so this, I have a whole part about the wellness strategy, which is to stop poisoning ourselves, flood the body with nutrients, and manage our stress. And I needed to stop the exposure to poisons, right? You can take good stuff, and we're going to talk about NingXia Red and how amazing NingXia Red is, and we're going to throw in Sulfurzyme and lime oil, and we'll talk about the science of these things. But if we don't stop poisoning ourselves with the things that we know are bad, then we're sabotaging our own efforts. So there's some things that we need to pay attention to there. But the main category we're going to focus on is not so much of avoiding the toxins or getting rid of the toxins. It's the flood the body with nutrients category. So let's talk about how to flood the body with nutrients. And again, let me remind you, this whole wellness zone, when we put the nutrients in the body, you don't have to tell the body what to do with it. It already knows what to do. It's already smart. So let's talk about this red drink. What is the red drink? The formula is simple. It's 1 ounce of NingXia Red. You can use more. 1 teaspoon of Sulfurzyme powder, or 4 capsules if you're using the capsules. 3 drops of Lime Vitality, and water. And so I'm going to talk about how this goes together. You put all the way I do it is to put all the ingredients in an empty NingXia Red bottle, you know, because that's like 25 ounces. Or you can do it in any quart size bottle or jar you want to, and then I just fill the rest up with water. So you only got, you know, 1 or 2 ounces of NingXia Red. So most of it is water, right? 25 ounces of water or so. And then I'll mix and enjoy that. So I thought we were going to put that. Where's that one about how we implement it?
That's at the very end.
The very end. Got it. I told Amy I wanted a certain order of things, and now I switched it up again. Okay, so this is something that, and I'll talk about this at the end, but this is something that can be easily implemented. You can add this in to your reset program, and we'll talk about that at the end. Okay, and so the primary ingredient on this is filtered water. And please, filtered water is important, right? So you know about your tap water, right? City tap water, municipal and well water sources can be contaminated with chemicals. A lot of municipal water supplies have actually been identified as having birth control pills and other, you know, type of pharmaceutical waste products that, you know, we pee out these pharmaceuticals. They don't even get broken down. They actually just get peed out. They go back into the water supply. They come back. They recycle that water. They put it back into the drinking water. And so all these tons of over the time, those chemicals build up. And we're literally sitting here with pharmaceuticals, birth control pills, measurable amounts in our drinking water. So, you know, this obviously not good. And you don't know because they're not required to test for that kind of stuff. They only have to test for lead and a few other things. So you definitely want to filter your water, either a good carbon filter or a reverse osmosis filter. They're both reasonable and affordable, and they do the work. They do the job. You don't need to be big fancy. You know, you can just get it. And then you know, if you are stuck with drinking water that you know is not the best quality, it's better. It's almost, I say almost, it's almost better to drink, you know, not that great water than not drink water. Sometimes the water is bad enough that I'm like, you know, it's like drinking swimming pool water, and I'd rather just get dehydrated until I can find better water. But this, you know, I don't know if you've heard about the how water responds. I know this maybe get a little woo-woo on some people, but if you actually bless the water, it changes the actual architecture of the water itself. Water has a memory, it has a response, it responds to energy and it responds to sunlight. So you could put your water in sunlight, you could bless your water, and that actually makes it better. So those are all things to consider. But let's talk about hydration. What's the benefit of getting this water in here? And you're like, wait a minute, I thought we were going to talk about NingXia Red. Why are we talking about water? If you start doing one of these resets, and if you've already been doing it, then you know you can end up with maybe some detox. Or you finish it and your body's like, okay, I really don't, there's something that I'm missing in there. And a lot of that is the detox process. You're activating toxins that are deep in the system. You've got to have enough water to get that stuff out. You will have a better reset. You'll get more out of it if you stay hydrated. So this is one of the things about hydration. So I think it's important to talk about. Morning water is, in my opinion, the best way to get hydrated. It's the most efficient way to get the water into the body. And right when you first wake up, and it has to be when you wake up, like the wake up cycle, the hormones in the body have changed. I have now become awake. There's a whole different set of cascade hormones. The adrenals are now are activated. The thyroid's activated. They're starting to get metabolism going. The whole body has shifted into a waking state. That's different than the sipping the water that's sitting next to the bed at night. When you wake up, you're still blurry, you drink some water. That's great, do that, but it doesn't count. It doesn't count for morning water. I'll just say that because a lot of people, I've had that argument. Some people go, well, I drink water all night long because you're up all night long. Well, that's fine, but that's when the body's still sleeping. Or should be anyway. So 16 ounces of water, room temperature, or even warm is better. And that's before your coffee, before your tea, before any supplements, before any NingXia Red, before lemon juice, before anything else. It's just pure, clean water. And what that does is go in and hydrate. It rinses out the grunge that's in the digestive system. And I have had people radically change their entire wellness outlook just from doing this. They lose weight, they have energy, more energy, they have less pain, less headaches, hormones come into better balance. All of that just from drinking water. morning water. And so this is the, it's a very important thing. Now, and then people say, well, how much water total? And usually the rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces. So if I weigh 160 pounds, I'm going to be 80 ounces per day. And so basically, and then if you're in the metric, for those of you who are metric, divide your weight in kilograms by 30, and that's how many liters you should drink. So if you're 90 kilos, you would be drinking 3 liters. If I did the math, that's higher math. So anyway, I had to calculate all that because I don't do liters and kilos, but a lot there, I speak to multiple international groups and stuff, so I had to put that in there. So that's as far as I go with that. Okay, so that's the water part. What do we know about NingXia Red? We all know and love our NingXia Red. Let's look into it. What's the primary ingredient of NingXia Red? Wolfberry, right? It's the NingXia Wolfberry. It's the botanical name for Wolfberry is Lycium barbarum. And so I'm really into science, so I geek out about this kind of thing. And so what I did is I went on PubMed and I typed in Lycium barbarum, and I did this just yesterday or day before, whenever that was, yesterday. And there are 1,903 articles, scientific papers published on Lycium barbarum, okay? In other words, there's more research on it than you can read probably in your, that you care to read about, okay? And this is just in comparison. When I did this talk back in 2018, there were 831 papers. So over 1,000 research papers have been added in 6 years. So is the research world interested and excited about Wolfberry? Absolutely, right? And so what are they finding? Here's the number one item when I looked it up. I mean, you could do your own research on this. You could just type in Lycium barbarum on PubMed, and it says Lycium barbarum ameliorates neural damage induced by experimental ischemic stroke and radiation exposure. What does all that mean? That means they take, in this case, I think it's mice. These poor mice, they beat them up, but they irradiate the mice. And then they do neural damage to the mice, either in the brain or by other means. And if they pre-fed the Wolfberry to the mouse, then their damage from the stroke, or the blood clot stroke that they induced, or the radiation exposure is significantly reduced, and they recover. So in other words, it protects. This is just a classic example of how antioxidants will protect the body. And it's obviously, it's not just parts of the muscles or joints or anything else. We're talking all the way into the nerves, into the brain. This is going to, the antioxidants, and in this case, specifically Lycium barbarum antioxidants, Wolfberry antioxidants, protect the nerves from damage. How would you like to have your brain protected, right? I mean, how many of us are concerned? We go through, we end up with radiation exposures. Maybe they're not significant, but a little bit each time, and we get worried about it. So what's the solution? Make sure we maintain a pretty good intake of Wolfberry. And then antioxidant in general is a huge topic of research. And here's another example. I just typed in dietary antioxidants, and it came up with 81,923 articles. And that's up, again, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, there were 49,000. So again, the research is very clear. Antioxidants, dietary antioxidants are a big deal. Phytoantioxidants protect the cells, they protect the tissue, they protect the body from chemical and radiation damage. So can we expect any product that has significant antioxidant power to do that? Absolutely. That is a very reasonable expectation. And so that's why we need to have this daily. Now, this idea of this reset, here's where we're really saturating, right? We're coming in and we're flooding. We're really saturating that. And that's a chance for those, in other words, sometimes we think of this as maintenance, right? We consume our 2 ounces a day of NingXia Red, and that's maintenance, and that's giving us some good protection from the antioxidants and all the rest of it that's so important. But did it really get after some of the stuff in the closet, right? How many of us have some health credit card buildup, some debt going? And this is where you can get back in, get deep into the tissues, saturate with that, and get the repair done that needs to be done for that protection that needs to happen to the DNA, the mitochondria, everything that happens inside the cell needs antioxidant protection. And that's why another reason I'll talk about essential oils in general. But so here's an example: dietary total antioxidant capacity in relation to depression and anxiety. Dietary total antioxidant capacity and severity of stenosis. That's, in other words, the heart hardening of the arteries, clogged arteries in the heart. The more antioxidants you have, the lower clogged arteries, so those are correlated. I thought there was another.
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. And so basically this is all, I mean, this isn't even, I didn't even dig in. This is just in the top 10, top 12. This is number 8, number 12 for these studies. So it's readily available, very easy to find. Now, if you obviously you get into it, it gets a little more complicated to try to read and understand some of these things, but most of these are written pretty easy to understand. Anyone can do it. So by all means, go do your own research. Now, recognize that the stuff that I'm sharing here, they're talking about general antioxidants. We're not linking it to a product. And I can't say, you can't go out and say, oh, look, here's the research and I can sell my product by linking that. You can't do that. That's non-compliant talk. And so you just got to be, make sure most of what I'm sharing with you is how do you look at this and how do you get some information for yourself? You don't have to take my word for it. You can, but you don't have to. You can back it up and look it up. This was a fun thing about antioxidants. So what is the point? What does it do inside the body? What do antioxidants do? Basically, the body is constantly breaking down, and it can be thought of as rusting, right? When you look at rust or in this case, corrosion, oxidation, right? This is a silver spoon, and the silver spoon on top it is the same age or in the same, we got the same batch of it with the one on the bottom. The silver spoon on the top is a ladle, and it kind of got pushed to the side. We don't use it. It's a small ladle. I don't know who would use it. I don't know. It's 100 years old, 200 years old, and it just got pushed to the side of the thing. But the other spoon is a normal size spoon. It's a teaspoon, so it got put into circulation. We changed our it had been in circulation the whole time, and it stayed tarnished the whole time. Then we changed to the Young Living essential oil based dishwasher soap. Okay. And after a few washes, this is what it looked like. And I'm not kidding. I did not polish this, okay? I did nothing to this spoon. That spoon on the bottom had just been through the dishwasher using essential oil-based dishwasher soap, and it basically detarnished, right? It became, and I couldn't have polished it with silver polish that shiny. Look how shiny that is. And it stayed that way for many months, and I think it got cycled back out, and then it started tarnishing again. But my point is, this is what is happening. This is what antioxidants do in your body. Do you want your DNA to be shiny? Do you want your membranes, your brain membranes, and the fatty tissue that is in your brain? Do you want it to be nice and shiny? The answer to that is yes. You want your brain to be shiny. You want your eyes to be shiny. You want your body to be shiny. Well, antioxidants are the way to do that. Now we can get down into the details, and antioxidants need to be both fat soluble and water soluble. So you have a water soluble system in your bloodstream, and you have a fat soluble system. That, like I said, just the fat in the brain is like mostly fat, 70% fat. So the brain needs a fat soluble antioxidant in order to be, to get the benefit. And then a lot of the tissue, the blood and everything else needs water soluble. And then most of the cellular material is bathed in water. It needs a water soluble. Now, fat and water, oil and water don't mix. So, gee, if I just had a product that had both fat soluble and water soluble antioxidants in one product, then I would have it made. And that's our NingXia Red, because it's got essential oils in it, right? So, and the thing about this is, antioxidants in general, like I said, they help the tissue. They help with maintaining the integrity of tissue. That's everything from the connective tissue, the muscles, the wrappings, but it gets down to the actual individual cells. And some of these cells in the body act independently, and the immune system is one example of that. So your immune cells are single cells that are running around in your body. Compare that to your muscle cells or your digestive lining or your skin cells. Those are all in a tissue. They're in connection to each other. So they have to work in a synergy in its surroundings, and they're stuck there. They can't move. The immune system cells, they're moving around. They're little amoebas, right? And the power of the antioxidants to support those cells at a cellular level to help that is fantastic. And so we have, so not only do you get the antioxidant benefit, but you have this thing called polysaccharides, lithium barbarian polysaccharides, and then some glycoconjugates. These are just, the polysaccharides are sugar molecules multi-sugar molecules. They're not normal. You hear the word sugar and everyone thinks, oh, that sugars are bad. Well, no, you'd die without certain types of sugars, and your immune system definitely needs these glycoconjugates and these polysaccharides. So something very, very unique about the Lycium barbarium, the Wolfberry polysaccharides, they have very, very potent immune stimulating properties. But here's the thing. They did, the research is very clear on this. How you prepare this, if you just take wolfberries and you boil them, if you heat them up too bad, or you treat them too roughly, then they break apart and the benefits disappear. So it's not good enough just to have on the ingredient list that you have goji berry or wolfberry. It's not good enough. The preparation matters. And here's where, if you understand what Young Living, the efforts that Young Living makes to make sure that the full nutritional value is present in our product, in the NingXia Red, it's staggering to realize that. And the original product was something called berry young juice, and they were actually juicing and they were getting rid of the pulp. And then they realized, wait a minute, there's a lot of good stuff in the pulp. So they figured out a way to actually make the whole pulp there, which is why when you have your NingXia Red bottle, I should have had one here, that if you let it sit for a while, you've got that about 3 inches at the bottom that looks like it's settled, right? And you have to kind of shake it back and forth to get that to, well, that's how much wolfberry is actually in there. A lot of people ask how much wolfberry is in there. I don't actually know. I'm not privy to the actual formula. But if you look at how much pulp is at the bottom of that, it gives you an idea that it's probably half wolfberry. That'd be my guess. And so you're talking about quite a bit of Lycium barbarium polysaccharides that you get in there. The other category where Lycium barbarium, if you look at the research, is fantastic at is eye health. And if you do that PubMed research, you put in wolfberry and eye, and you get 91 research articles. There was only 46 in 2019. So again, the research continues. And these are things like lutein and zeaxanthin. Maybe you've heard about these for eye health, and the antioxidant protection to maintain healthy eyes. They help the macula of the eye, and they help there's a lot of damage that gets done to the eyes. The reality of it is, not only, I mean, the eyes are picking up light, and they have to be very, very tuned, and they're photosensitive, so they can break down just from the light exposure, but the eyes are constantly exposed to the environment, right? How many water-soluble chemicals are out there that are blowing in the breeze, industrial farm chemicals, et cetera, and our eyes are pretty much constantly open. And so they're constantly getting exposed to these oxidative molecules, this oxidative stress, and it's because more in line because of our modern world. Now, I would argue that, if you go back far enough where we're doing wood burning stoves or maybe not very good quality, and we're getting a lot of smoke in our eyes, then they had the same problem. People's eyes were aging faster than they should. So the thing is, when you get exposure to the eyes, which all of us are getting exposed, then you need to protect those and help maintain those delicate structures in the back of the eye. Absolutely, guys. I mean, I know most of you are women on here, but if you can please convince your guy that when he's doing work that involves dust particles or chemicals and anything else, get a faceplate, get a full faceplate respirator, not one of those just respirator like here, because your eyes are getting exposed. It's very simple. There's about 50, 60 bucks off of Amazon is a full faceplate respirator to protect your eyes. I do that whenever I'm going under the house or doing something that if I'm even just pool chemicals, a lot of people just are casual about that thing, but you got to protect your eyes. So anyway, that's my little spiel, public health announcement. The other thing, the Lycium barbarium polysaccharides support digestion. They help maintain healthy blood sugar. I'm going to breeze through this. There's a whole lot of research you can look at. They function as a prebiotic support for gut health. And they support healthy liver function, and they're chemoprotectant for the liver. So, and they're so exciting actually that they're trying to manufacture these wolfberry polysaccharides using yeast, a genetically modified yeast in big fermentation vats. So in other words, they want more of these. I mean, if we could just have enough of these, and so that's why I'm so excited that Young Living has such an amazing almost corner on the market, if you will, to the actual NingXia wolfberry, which is where all the research was done on that particular wolfberry in that area of China. So it's so exciting to know that Gary had such a vision on that. Cardiovascular support helps maintain healthy inflammation in the vessel walls, healthy levels of triglycerides. It goes on and on. It really does. I'm gonna move on, but because the Lycium barbarium The research, like I said, 1,900 research articles. You can start perusing through them, but you find just about everything in the list. Okay, now I'm going to switch to Sulfurzyme, and anyone who's heard any of my talks, you know that I'm more Sulfurzyme is always better. And so I'm going to talk a little bit here about Sulfurzyme and the reason we added that to what we're calling the red drink. Now I know I'm bouncing between NingXia Red as just as a product and the reset. And now I'm switching back to the what I call the red drink formula. Okay, so it's the NingXia Red, Sulfurzyme, and lime oil. And so the Sulfurzyme, what is that? Sulfurzyme is a phase 2 detox support. So the liver has to convert toxic chemicals into non-toxic versions so that they can be eliminated safely through the bowel and the kidneys. If your bowel and kidneys are overloaded, if things aren't working, you end up coming out on the skin, coming out on the breath. If the body cannot detox through the skin and breath fast enough, you will throw it up out the stomach. So the body will shake and push those toxins into the stomach, and then you'll throw up. If anyone's had that experience, you can actually feel your body doing all those phases, and I can do all that. So it's very important, and if you want to save yourself a lot of trouble and migraine headaches like I get from toxicity, then make sure you can activate your phase 2 detox. Essential oils, it doesn't matter, pretty much any essential oil is a phase 1 activation. So phase 1 activation gets those toxins out of the tissue. It helps to drive those toxins, to cleanse the toxins out of the tissue. But where does it go from there? It has to go into the lymph and into the bloodstream, and then it has to get processed. If the liver can't handle it, then you end up with those rashes, headaches, and other problems, okay? And so we don't want to do that. And so this is where the phase 2 detox comes in. The process of cleansing and of detoxing or not, detoxing chemicals or converting chemicals into non-toxic forms, neutralizing, that's the word I'm looking for. The process of neutralizing chemicals depletes glutathione. Now, you might have heard of glutathione. I know I'm throwing words, and if you haven't heard of any of these things, that you're lost, but the glutathione is a tripeptide that has a sulfur-containing amino acid that's inside the cell. A lot of people are talking about glutathione, about supplementing glutathione. The problem with supplementing glutathione is it doesn't get into the cell. It doesn't get where it needs to go. It's much better to protect the glutathione that you already have than it is to try to add it back, okay? And here's what the MSM shows to do. And then also things like orange oil, essential oils. A lot of essential oils will actually protect your levels of glutathione. They will basically come in, they'll take the hit, they'll do the work of the oxidative stress, and then the glutathione ends up protected. So it's very important. The other thing is that when the body depletes its glutathione, it's losing sulfur. And a lot of these sulfur compounds, you don't get them anywhere else except the diet. There is no other place for this sulfur to come in. You must consume nutritional sulfur. It's an essential nutrient. In fact, it's part of the actual sulfur pathway on the planet. So this actual form, methanosulfonylmethane, this form of sulfur is what actually ends up in the clouds and rain and comes back down naturally. We're not talking about sulfuric acid, acid rain and all that. Some of us that grew up in that era, you'd be, oh no, I don't want it. No, we're talking about natural sulfur actually makes it all the way through the rain cycle and spreads around the world. Now, most of our soils are depleted. We don't really grow food out of volcanic soil. We don't get enough of sulfur, and we've got the extra load of detoxing, depleting our sulfur because of the chemicals in our modern world. So we need to support that sulfur, and here's where that comes in. MSM is so easy to do that, and like I said, it's a completely natural version. It's a natural form. The tissue repair requires nutritional sulfur. Anything, your immune system, anything that produces protein requires the sulfur, because methionine is a sulfur-containing amino acid that starts every single protein. So if you have a methionine depletion, and you can supplement methionine, and you'll feel better if you supplement methionine. It's just expensive, and you got to make sure the quality is there, because if you get a bad quality amino acid, it could be potentially lethal. It can be very bad. And so methionine is, if you get a sulfur depletion in the body, you get a methionine depletion, and the global protein synthesis goes down. That's going to affect everything. If your skin's starting to get thin, your immune system is weak, you lose your hair's falling out. It might be thyroid. But it might actually be that you just don't have enough nutritional sulfur and the body has run out. And you start adding back that sulfur and you find out that, oh my gosh, immediately things start feeling better. So what can we say about this? This is MSM. If you do a search on MSM in the PubMed, MSM itself it means a bunch of different things. And so you'll get a bunch of weird stuff that don't apply to what you want. So you have to type this word in, methylsulfonylmethane, which is the longer version of what MSM stands for. So methylsulfonylmethane. Actually, if you type in MSM, it'll give you that as an option after that. But so if you do that in PubMed, and you'll find 434 research papers published as of a few days ago, and you find out that MSM actually protects. It actually gets in. I've read studies before on MSM that it gets into the brain and it protects against inflammatory processes that happen in the brain. And so it's really an amazing little molecule. But in this case, here's number 2, the study. It says methanosulfonylmethane, MSM, ameliorates metabolic associated fatty liver, restoring autophagy flux, blah, blah, blah. So it helps with fatty liver. Ameliorates metabolic associated fatty liver means it helps with it, reverses it, reduces it. Here's MSM. Here's the second dose. This one's very interesting. MSM protects against lethal dose MRSA induced sepsis. MRSA, which is MRSA, right? That's the methicillin resistant bacteria. So what they did is they took animals and they gave them a lethal dose of MRSA. And so they induced the sepsis, a complete, global infection of MRSA in this animal. And then they gave some of the animals, they gave MSM to, the others they didn't. The ones that they gave MSM to were able to withstand that sepsis. And so they actually went through and found specifically through the M2 macrophage polarization. Honestly, I don't even know what that is. I'd have to go and read the whole thing to find out. So what I'm saying is that's amazing to me that it does so many things on so many levels. And that's because it's so central, so basic to cellular health, that it's going to basically protect against any kind of damage you can come up with. And of course, you've heard of MSM for knee, so for joint formulas. And here's one, number 4, that says improves knee quality of life, which has got to be written by a non-English speaker. No one writes that way. Improves knee quality of life. And so anyway, knee pain. And then also the thing that you probably get your attention more than anything is that it helps your skin improves signs of skin aging. And you'll spend money on that before you will to protect your brain. But that's okay. We're good with that. Just as long as you do it. And so the other thing about Sulfurzyme, it actually has Wolfberry powder. So you get all the additional benefits of Wolfberry powder we've already talked about. You get the minerals, the beneficial polysaccharides, the prebiotic, the Wolfberry seed oil, Wolfberry fiber. Okay, so that's Sulfurzyme. That we've talked about the NingXia Red. We've talked about Sulfurzyme. Now lime oil. Why lime oil? The lime vitality oil, again, we can talk about it as a supplement because it's a vitality oil. It contains as much as 50% limonene. It tastes great. Okay, it makes it really taste good. So, and if you put more than 3 drops, that's fine. Don't let anyone scare you off. For a while back, I had this, online argument with someone who was telling me that there was research that showed, lemon oil was toxic to the liver or whatever. I'm like, no. I countered that with so many research articles that was ridiculous. So don't be scared to take capsules full of lime oil, lemon oil, orange oil, any of the citrus oils. They're fine. And certainly you can put you can put 3 drops or 6 drops. If 6 drops come out, don't worry about it. Just shake it in there. Now, here's the thing about essential oils. What did I say before about essential oils? They are phase 1 or phase 2 detoxers. There's phase 1, right? So it's going to activate. So if you're taking a capsule by itself with no other support, and you have a reaction, what's probably happening? It's a detox reaction, right? You're pushing toxins out. That's where you need to back off on the essential oils and start using more Sulfurzyme and drinking more water. Okay, so it contains as much as 50% limonene. Just for the sake of ease for research, you can go in PubMed and type in limonene, and we find 2,500 research articles on limonene. That's more than 2.5 times in the last 5 years. So when it was 5 years ago, it was 1,059. So limonene, again, extensively researched. Most of the articles that were on there about that were anti-cancer, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. I'm really not interested in any of that, because when you look at the actual, when it gets down to all these, they talk about all this, they do all this research, and at the end of it, it gets down and it says, basically, the summation of all that gobbledygook is it's healthy for the cell. It protects the cell, it protects the cell membrane, it helps the cell membrane work the way it's supposed to because it's a fat-soluble antioxidant. And that's basically what most essential oils are when you get down to them. They're fat-soluble antioxidants. They help maintain healthy inflammation. It's kind of fun to talk about inflammation at a cellular level. I don't know if I have time. I need a head nod, yes or no. I do not have time. Okay, so no time for that right now, but we could have a whole discussion at what happens at the cell surface and the cell membrane, and what happens with that with the inflammatory cascades, and how, see, I'm talking about it already. I'm going to talk about it anyway. And what happens is you get these receptor sites that get stuck together and they're not supposed to be. And when they get stuck together, they trigger the inflammatory response. You ever feel like your inflammation doesn't ever stop? It just keeps going and going and going. You have an inflammation response, and then all of a sudden it's just still there and still there and still there, and it's still there in the same tissue. It always comes back on the left knee, right? It always happens. Well, that's because those cells that they're glued together, and that all those little receptor sites never separated. They're supposed to separate. So when you put fat-soluble antioxidants in there, it helps those things separate and become go back to being separated, and they shut down the inflammatory cascade. So when I say that, when you hear research that says essential oils are anti-inflammatory, that is false. They are not anti-inflammatory. They help the cell go back to a pre-inflammation state, which is not the same thing. You understand the difference between those two things? You've got a cell that if you claim something as a pharmaceutical is anti-inflammatory, it's actually blocking the inflammation process. Essential oils do not do that. They do not block the inflammation process. What they do is they return the cell to a pre-inflammation state. That is a very different concept. And so I'm very excited about that from a standpoint of how many people have inflammatory problems. And so essential oils across the board can be helpful for that. And lemon oil, limonene, so actually, citrus oils are not true essential oils. You realize that? They're pressed from the rind. So they're more a food than they are an essential oil. They're not a true distilled essential oil, but we won't argue that point right now. The immune system responds extremely well. The lime oil cold pressed is pure bioflavonoids. Bioflavonoids are well documented to help your body utilize vitamin C, to help other things to absorb and utilize vitamin C for proper immune function. There's so much research on it. I'm just going to skip through that, but we're very excited about, again, the antioxidant. It's fat soluble antioxidant. So you get both fat soluble and water soluble antioxidants with our NingXia Red. Because NingXia Red itself already has yuzu oil, right? It already has citrus oils in it, but in this case, for the red drink, we're adding more. More is better. For me, more is better. I mean, that's not always true. If you need to back off, then go ahead and back off. Backing off means stop using the oils, drink more water, and take more sulfurzyme. And then it's known to help support fat metabolism, cleansing the lymphatic system. I'm going to skip through this. Citrus oils in general, they help to move the lymphatic system. Again, because they're fat-soluble antioxidants, they help move the lymphatics. I've got 31 seconds. Yeah, I've got it. So here's the synergy. It all comes together. We've got the water-soluble, fat-soluble. We've got our antioxidants. We've got all in one amazing mix of what we call the red drink. Now, again, here's the formula: 1 or 2 ounces of NingXia Red, 1 teaspoon of sulfurzyme powder or 4 capsules, 3 drops of lime oil, and then the rest filtered water, about 25 ounces of water. So what are you getting most of? Water. What do you need a lot of when you're doing cleansing and stuff like that? A lot of water. So make sure you get that. And so a lot of people will ask, I'm going to skip through this real quick. A lot of people ask, well, what about the capsules? Yeah, sure, you can use the capsules, like I said, 4. The bottle says to take on the Sulfurzyme bottle, it will say take 1 hour before after eating. Ignore that. I've never followed that advice. I don't know where it came from, and I don't know what the justification is for that. And then some people will say that it's too sweet. I don't know how to argue that, except for maybe if you switch to the capsules. The Sulfurzyme powder has the stevia in it, so that might make things a little and has FOS. Yeah, it does not have stevia. It has FOS. Anyway, the capsules don't have any of that. It won't have any of the sweeter stuff. So you could just use the capsules instead. Do you have to use Lime Vitality? Well, the quick answer to that is yes. If you're using
You can use lemon.
you can use lemon, you can use anything, but ultimately I will tell you that the lime bottle that is Vitality and the lime bottle that's not Vitality are the same oil. It's not a different oil that's put in the lime Vitality than that's put in the other one. So what you can do to be completely compliant is when your lime Vitality bottle is empty, take your other lime and pour it into that one, and now you have refilled your lime Vitality and you can feel comfortable.
Can you use
taking
a
your-
different essential oil?
You can use a different essential oil, absolutely. No, people do ask about that. So then how about other powders? Some people come up with their own version of what powders to add. Absolutely, go for it. In fact, I think the golden turmeric is the perfect addition to that. Some people like to do the collagen, the amino wise, prebiotic fiber, absolutely. Mind wise, Vitality drops, NingXia Red, all of those are true. So yes, you can do all that. So let's talk about how to implement this in the 14-day reset. So during the 14-day reset, you need to have extra hydration, right? So you can, one of your daily 2-ounce doses, I mean, you're doing 6 ounces a day, right? One of your doses you can make into the red drink and add that in. And so every day you're going to do 1 bottle of the red drink as part of the reset. That's a great way to make sure that you're getting that phase 2 support. Now, in between your hydration, your 14-day resets, right? Some people can do constant 14-day resets, but most of us are taking a break. And so in between, you can do that same red drink formula, and then you can keep those good habits going. So you get that gentle cleansing. So then again, the nice thing about the red drink formula is that it's extremely balanced for a gentle cleanse. It's going to be helping you move toxins out and process them all at the same time so that you don't end up with a backlog. I think that's it. So now I think I went a few minutes over, but there's enough time for questions. And Danette, I'll hand it over to you. We'll stop sharing, or how do we do that? There we go.
Yes, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Peter. We're going to stop the recording here. And those that are here live, we're going to have a little something special for you. So hang on.